There we go. Salakia. Shalom, Israel. This is the ISUPK, so out of 1 West 125th Street, Hall, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. All right. This is the opening of the Feast of Purim. And we're going to start off by reading the book of Esther, chapter 1. Right? Let me get there with you. All right. Whenever you're ready. Again, we're reading the book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1. We're going to read all the way through to chapter 5, the last verse in chapter 5.
This is the book of Esther, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this Ahasuerus which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces.
So this man, Ahasuerus, he reigned from India all the way to Ethiopia. That's the northeast part of Asia, Asia, all the way over to Ethiopia. Right? So he had hella reign, hella rulership. Powerful. Keep going.
Verse 2. That in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace. Verse 3. In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces, being before him. Verse 4.
So he set up a feast day, right? Specific feast day. Keep going.
When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days.
The whole purpose was to bring his own glory, to gloat in the power that he done acquired in the earth. Right? Keep going.
Verse 5. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace.
Right, so he had a 7-day party, basically, for himself and his people, all the people who was present in the event. Keep going.
Verse 6, where were white, green, and blue hangings, fastened with cords and fine linen, and purple, silver rings, and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of red, and blue, and white, and black marble.
Man, this whole room is decked out. This palace is top of the top. You feel me? It's something you expect for somebody who got so much power over so many different countries, so many provinces. You know what I'm saying? You expect them to have the use a retro term, the swankiest spot. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. You go ahead.
Come. Verse 7. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel. For so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
Right? So he made it to where it was lawful for them to enjoy the drink as much as they wanted to. Get your buzz on. You know what I'm saying? That was the whole point. To have the fun. You know, that's kind of the way the heathen are. As long as it comes down to the party, all laws go away. It's time to have fun. That's all they worried about. Keep going.
Verse 9. Also Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus.
So the queen made a feast for all the women in the house. Keep going.
Verse 10. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mahuman, Bishta, Harbana, Bigtha, Abitha, Zethar, and Carthage, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king.
Right, so these are the king's mighty men, basically. It's the same thing as David's mighty men. These are the men that he look at them like the men that sit on his council, the men who advise the king, basically. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
Verse 11. To bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look on.
So this woman Vashti was beautiful. Keep going.
But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth. His anger burned in him.
This man got all this power, got everything a man could want in the earth, everything a man could want under the sun. But his woman not listening to him, couldn't have that. Keep going.
Verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment.
So they knew what was about to happen. Keep going.
And the next unto him was Karshena, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marsena, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom.
Right, so this is during the time of the Persian and Mede captivity, right? And these are Persian peoples. Keep going.
Verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law? Because she has not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. Verse 16.
So they asking, what should we do with the queen? You know, like I said, he got all this power, but he couldn't have it. His wife not answering his call. When he tell you to come, you come here. She said no. So now they wondering, they know what type of time the king is on. What are we supposed to do? What are we going to do to save this woman? Because he probably going to try to kill her. Keep going.
Come. Verse 16. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes. Vashti the queen had not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes.
So she brought shame to the king, and she shamed the princes because they all needed her to be there. But she said no. Keep going.
And to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus.
So the people who look up to this king, who follow after this king, after his power, they see a crack in his armor. They see a weakness in his rulership. His woman don't listen to him. Keep going.
Verse 17. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes. When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
You know what I'm saying? This woman, this queen, denying the king audience with her. She told him she's not coming to him just because he called her. Now it's gonna make all the other women that look up to her be like, she ain't gotta listen to her, man. He the king. I ain't gotta listen to you. Who are you? You ain't the king. I know that. Over 7 provinces, you ain't that. She ain't gotta listen to him. I ain't gotta listen to you.
Like the king, she don't even listen to the king. Why I gotta listen to you?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
He a king. Who are you? I know I ain't no queen or nothing, but he a king. If the queen don't come to the king when he called her to come, I can tell you no, nigga. You feel me? That's what that is. Keep going.
Verse 18. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath.
They said, nah, it's going to be a real serious problem. Keep going.
Verse 19. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
So now they're trying to convince the king to give everything that belongs to the queen, her royal estate, her garments, her vestments, her everything, to a queen, to a woman that's more honorable and better than she. Keep reading.
Verse 20. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give unto their husbands honor.
See what I'm saying? Oh, finish that real quick.
Both to great and small.
See what I'm saying? So the goal is to make the women's honor the men. She caused such a problem in the kingdom that they're trying to convince the king to replace her with a whole other woman. And by doing that, that's going to show the rest of the women that followed after that behavior, we can be replaced too. We better get in line, or we're going to get replaced just like she got replaced. She the queen. Now the table's done switched. That's what their goal is, right? Keep reading.
Verse 21. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan.
So the king went ahead and went along with this plan. It sounded like a good plan. Again, these are his counselors. They telling him what they think is the best move to make for the sake of the kingdom. And it seemed like he agreeing with it. Keep going.
Verse 22. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people.
Right? So now he done reestablished the fact that the man is the head of these houses. Even though the queen disobeyed me, you see how quickly we got her up out of here? Same thing that happened in your house. If you don't obey your man, so you need to obey him. That's what the whole decree was. The whole point was to return power back to the men, right? Let's go to chapter 2.
Oh, God. The book of Esther, chapter 2 and verse 1. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her.
Right? So the king remembered, the king remembered everything that happened to her, right? The whole nation, it's not just the king that remembered, again, it's the whole nation. The point was to make an example out of her, to show that example to all the rest of the women in that kingdom, so that they all understood that they, again, could be replaced. That's a heavy point. Keep going.
God. Verse 2. Then said the king's servants that minister unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
Now they saying, let's go find the king a new wife. A virgin. What is a virgin? Any one of y'all answer that. Go ahead.
Someone that haven't had sexual intercourse.
That's what the world tells you a virgin is. But we got to understand we are Hebrew people. And in the Hebrew, there's two words for virgin, right? The one that's used for virgin in this context is talking about a young woman of marriageable age, right? A little girl isn't a virgin. Once she has her flower, she becomes a virgin. You know what a flower is, right? Her flower is her cycle. You know what I'm saying? So once she has her cycle, when she has her flower, then she becomes a virgin. Now she's a woman of marriageable age. That's what the virgin is. A woman could be in her 30s, then had sex before, she's still a virgin because she's still of marriageable age. To be of marriageable age is like childbearing age. You get what I'm saying? But once she passed that, then she's no longer a virgin no more. So she could be 50 and never had sex a day in her life. She ain't a virgin no more. She's not a young tenderoni. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, come on.
Keep reading.
Come on. Verse 3. And let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Hegi, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women.
He's a keeper of the women. That sounds like a flat out pimp. He's a keeper of the women. Keep going.
And let their things for purification be given them. Verse 4. And let the maiden which pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti.
Right? So now this is where they're talking about actually replacing the queen. So now he does still have the queen Vashti, but Vashti being removed from her seat. They want to give her whole everything away to this new person, but they have to decide who this new person is going to be. Now they feel to pick who that's going to be. Keep reading.
Okay. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Verse 5. Now in Shushan the palace, there was a certain Jew.
A certain who?
Jew.
He was a Jew. He was an Israelite, right? This is an Israelite during the time of the Persian and Mede captivity. There was a point where we was in captivity to the Egyptians. The Lord brought us out of there. We was in captivity to the Babylonians after that. The next major captivity was the captivity to the Babylonians. The Lord saw fit to remove us from there. But instead of walking us out like he did in Egypt, he had them be overtaken by the Persians. The Persians came and took over, and they overthrew Babylon. Babylon. That's how they became the world superpower after Babylon. And that's how we ended up in Babylon. That's how all this came. That's the whole setup for all of this, right? So now we being oppressed by the by the Persians now. Keep going.
Whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
This is a Benjamite brother, right? So this Benjamite brother Mordecai is a Jew. He's a child of Jacob. He's an Israelite. And this brother is honorable. And we're going to see why. Keep reading.
Okay. Verse 6. Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, which Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
So the king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, carried Jeconiah and all of Israel into captivity, into Babylon, whenever they sieged Israel. Right? Keep going.
Verse 7. He brought up Hadassah, that is Esther.
What's her name?
Esther.
He brought up Esther. Who is Esther? Keep reading.
His uncle's daughter.
Right? His uncle's daughter. So this is his cousin. He's taking care of his little cousin, basically, right? He's raising her up. And that's why I say he's an honorable brother. We finna read why. Keep going.
For she had neither father
No father,
nor mother,
nor mother. There was nobody to take care of her. All she had was Mordecai. And he manned up and took care of his responsibility to this young sister. Keep going.
and the maid was fair and beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
So he took her to raise her up as his own daughter. He said he was going to take care of her, raise her to be a righteous sister. And that's what his job was, and that's what he did. That's an honorable thing. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, be a father unto the fatherless. That's the exact same thing what Mordecai just did. Mordecai said he was going to take up the responsibility of his uncle and take that young sister to raise her as his own daughter so that she could have a father. You know what I'm saying? Have somebody to guide her. So she just turned out to be like the rest of the hordes that got potentially turned out in Babylon and now in Persia. Keep going. In somebody's bed chambers and carrying on. You feel me? Keep going.
Verse 8. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan, the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Haggai, keeper of the women.
Again, I said this Haggai person was like a pimp. He really is like a pimp. He's more like if you ever heard like a brothel, where you got a house full of women that you can pay to have sex with. It's similar to that, but it's the king's women, and he ain't got to pay to have sex with them. It's the same concept, right? So his job was to make sure that he get a bunch of beautiful women for the king's pleasure whenever the king decided he wanted to deal with them, right? But they're seeking after a new wife for the king, a new queen for Persia. So, like, what you doing?
You got a bit more chairs in here.
Oh, okay. They're trying to seek out a new queen for the king, right? So they're trying to get more control of the situation because again, we got a bunch of unruly women following after an unruly woman who didn't respect her man. So the solution is to get rid of that woman, replace her with another woman that's going to be submissive, and in the concept on paper, it's going to work. We're going to get all these women to follow this new woman, follow her rule, and that's going to bring power back to the men. It's all about control. This whole thing is about having control over women and women having control over men. Keep reading.
Verse 9. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he speedily gave her things for purification.
Right. So the things for purification. First of all, the maiden that is talking about is Esther. Esther pleased the king. Well, she pleased Haggai, the keeper of the women. She pleased him. He liked what he saw in her, and so he immediately gave her the things for her purification. The purification, according to Israelite custom, if you go to war with another nation, not another nation, I shouldn't say it this way. I make sure y'all don't get confused. According to Israelite culture, if you go to war with another group of Israelites for whatever reason, and you conquer them, you can take their women, clip their nails, cut their hair, and put them in a potato sack. And after, I think, 30 days, then you can take them to be your wives. You can make them wives. That's what that purification, according to Israelite culture, that's what the purification process is. And what you're doing is you washing out. So say we in the school, we in the truth, but them women out there, they not in the truth, right? So then we tell them, all right, you want to be my woman, you got to cut your hair, cut your nails, and change how you carry yourself. Turn yourself into a righteous woman. Wash that old whore off yourself and be made new. Be made somebody a wife to somebody one day. That's what the purification process is in Israel. Now here we reading about it again. Read again.
Come. Verse 9. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and she speedily gave her things for purification.
Right. So this type of purification is not the same purification that we do in Israel. This is the Persians and the Medes version of purification, right? Keep going.
With such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women.
So not only did she get shown favor, he liked her. He liked what he saw in her. He thought she would be a great candidate to be the new queen. He also made sure that she got maids, and they was taken care of. She was taken care of, and they got the best house in the house, the best room in the house. Keep going.
Come. Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
What do y'all think that's saying right there? Esther did not show her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. What is it saying? What is it saying? I want y'all to try to take a guess at it. What do you think it's saying? Read it one more time.
Come. Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people, nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
So what do y'all think that's saying? What do y'all think that's saying? Read it one more time.
Come. Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people, nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
So Mordecai charged her that she should not show it. What does it mean by not show it? What do y'all think that means? We in Esther chapter
Chapter 2 and verse 10.
2 and 10. Read it one more time.
Come. The book of Esther, chapter 2 and verse 10. Esther had not showed her people, nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
What do y'all think that that's saying? It said Esther had not shown her people, nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
Is it saying that it's like it's just saying like let me make sure. Hold on. I gotta believe. Well, it's just saying that it's saying that like she's making the effort to be put up almost
What do you mean?
like almost just like she trying to come back with a new herself, but like almost excited under the trunk more.
You close, but no. So I'm gonna give it to. Oh, go ahead.
It's like that. If I may take a crack at it, is it saying that she not trying to show them that she's a Jew?
Why not?
Because I was like it. I don't know why not. But Mordecai told her not to.
That's why.
Which is her uncle.
That's why. Again, remember, Esther is being raised by Mordecai to be a great, just a good sister, right? Now she done been found favor by the king's keeper of women. So now this is an opportunity for Mordecai, to use that position that he's in to put her in a position that she can really get into a better life. Remember, they're in captivity, but now she'd have been shown favor. Go ahead.
So in this instance, by him being uncle, like, and he was like, basically bring her up, that means like that's her head, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, it won't always be her head because she's going to get married, but right now he is her head. He's showing her, he's raising her to be a certain way, and that work done paid off to where now she's being shown favor in the captivity. So much favor that now she got the best place in the house. She got maids. She got all the fine raiment, everything. You know what I'm saying? But he's telling her to keep it under wraps that she's an Israelite. And we're going to get to why. Keep reading.
Verse 11. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her.
Right? So he made it a point to stay locked in. He didn't just let her just be taken away and just be gone. He made sure that she was taken care of. He made sure she was all right. Keep an eye on her like a good father would. Keep going.
Verse 12. Now when every maid's turn was come to go into King Ahasuerus, after that she had been given 12 months, according to the manner of the women. Mm-hmm. For so were the days of her purifications accomplished, to wit, 6 months of oil of myrrh, mm-hmm. and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of women.
Right. So you see, again, I explained earlier that Israel got a different purification process. Ours consisted of cutting the nails, cutting the hair, and putting that woman in a potato sack. Their whole purification process is completely different. It's straight up physical with them. It's not nothing spiritual about it. It's about how they want them to look and smell. That's really all there is to that. Okay. Keep going.
Verse 13. Then thus came every maiden unto the king, Whatsoever she desired was given her, to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house.
See, so the goal is to get her set up to be ready to be the new queen over their people, over their land, right? They gave her everything that she could want. Keep going.
Verse 14. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Shaashgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name.
She told him that I'm not gonna come and see you no more unless you delight me, unless you like me and you call me by my name. She ain't just gonna be no another woman, some whore that's living in this house full of other women. Remember, we described it's what's like a brothel. It's the king's pick of all the most beautiful women in his kingdom. She said, "You ain't gonna treat me like that though. You gonna either, if you like me, I'm gonna come and see you, but you gonna call me by my name." That was the first step in playing the game. Keep going.
Come. Verse 15. Now when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in unto the king, she required nothing but what had Guy the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all of them that looked upon her.
So we're seeing two things. One, everybody's just smitten with this sister. But for two, she ain't no greedy type of woman. She's real humble. She said she didn't ask for nothing more than what he already appointed that she was going to have. And that was it. That beautiful, humble Israelite woman spirit is the thing that really was drawing the king in. It started off by drawing in his keeper of women. It started there. And the king's gonna start to fall for it. It's like everybody. It said, in all of them that looked upon her, she found favor in everybody who saw her. It wasn't her physical appearance that they was falling in love with. It was that spirit that was on that sister. She was real humble. She didn't ask for nothing extra. Keep going.
Come.
And this is like, if I could, this is during the time of captivity where you would want all the extras. She didn't ask for none of it though. Keep going.
Come. Verse 16. So Esther was taken unto the king Ahasuerus into his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Verse 17. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
See what happened? Nah, she didn't ask for nothing extra. She didn't ask to be put in the position she got put into. It just happened. The Lord saw fit that her father and mother was going to be taken away, but you're going to be raised by her uncle. Her uncle was a righteous and just man, and he raised that sister to be a righteous and just sister, a humble sister. And in all of that work, all that earning that he did, it paid off. His baby girl got put into the king's house and got made into the queen. They kicked Vashti to the curb because she was disobedient. She dishonored him. But now you got this new humble sister who come in, don't ask for nothing, and she follow orders. All she requires is that you call her by her name. That's how it starts, though. Keep going. If I could, they could make a movie about this. They could make a movie about a slick sister who just used her feminine wiles and her humility to really just stab a person in the back. You feel me? They could make a movie about it. Go ahead, keep going.
Come. Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king.
Right.
Verse 19. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate.
So this time Mordecai sat there waiting because he knew my niece is finna be taken up. I'm gonna wait for it. Keep going.
Verse 20. Esther had not yet showed her kindred, nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her.
You see what I'm saying? She followed that order, no matter what, no matter how great she got, no matter how big. So like, I'm too wild right now. Too wild, sis. You 12? I'm 12. Okay, we 12 right now. Too wild, sis. So no matter what she could have been doing, she remembered what Mordecai taught her and how he taught her to be. And the whole goal is to keep her being an Israelite under wraps. They don't need to know that she's an Israelite. All they need to know is that she's her. And that's what's getting her into the position of power that she needs. Keep going.
As Mordecai had charged her, for Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him.
See,
Verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth, and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. Verse 22.
Start read back over.
Come.
Start over.
Come. Verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth, and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
So these two men decided they was going to put their hands on the king. They was angry with the king. Keep going.
Verse 22. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
So he told Esther because Esther got the power to do something about this. He just an Israelite in captivity. But she went and told the king what was going on, what was about to happen to him, gave him a heads up. It's another opportunity to learn favor. Again, the game is so smooth and it's so easily played. It's crazy. Keep going.
Come. Verse 23. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree. And it was written in the book of Chronicles before the king.
The king had them taken out. I mean, that's plain and simple. He had them killed because of Esther's word. Esther could have been lying, but she wasn't. But she could have been lying, and he just had them killed. There was no investigation. You don't read about them asking, like, is this true? Did y'all really do it? No, flat out. The next thing you read, them niggas was hanging from a tree. You feel me? Keep going.
The book of Esther, chapter 3 and verse 1. After these things, the king Ahasuerus promote Haman the son of Hamadatha, the Agite, and advanced him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
So he promoted Haman. This now is the king's number 2 guy. He got power. He got power above the princes. Keep reading.
Come. Verse 2. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
Now we're about to see that the king ain't the only person who's petty in this whole scenario, in this whole situation. The king got all the power in the world, but got angry because his wife wouldn't come when he called her one time. And Haman is about to be on the exact same thing, but with Mordecai, because Mordecai wouldn't bow before him. He got all the power in all the land. He's the second in command over the entire world superpower. That means there ain't nobody, only one person on earth got more power than him, and that's the king himself. And that ain't enough. He got to have this man Haman got to have this man Mordecai bow to him. How dare you not bow to me? Keep reading.
Verse 3. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgressest thou the king's commandment?
So they asked Mordecai, the king said that y'all supposed to bow to this man. Why you ain't bowing to him? Everybody else bowing. What make you special? Why you think you got to be different? Keep going.
Verse 4. Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's masters would stand. Matters would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew.
He kept it a being and told him, I'm a Jew. I'm not bowing to that man. Keep going.
Verse 5.
Slack. Where we at? We in where we at?
Esther chapter 3 and verse 5.
Go ahead.
Verse 5. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath.
Full of what?
Full of wrath.
He had all the power in all the land. Remember, they literally just conquered Babylon, got the whole kingdom. All of what Babylon had power over, they got it now. Plus whatever power they had before. They ruled over a lot of land, a lot of people, and a lot of countries. But it wasn't enough that all them people would bow before him. Mordecai didn't bow before him. So now everything else go out the window. Now I got to get this man up out of me. Who does he think he is? And he told him he was a Jew. What does that mean to me? I'm Mordecai. I'm not Mordecai. I'm Haman. You supposed to bow to me. That's what the king said. One person who bowing to me is the king. Keep reading.
Verse 6. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
So not only was he going to take it out on Mordecai himself, he was going to destroy all of Israel. All the Jews was going to suffer because Mordecai didn't bow. You see how petty that is? You got all this power, all these women, all these riches, nobody on earth over you except for the king himself, and you made worried about one slave that won't bow to you. It's petty. Keep going.
Verse 7. In the first month, that is, the month Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast prayer, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. Verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people.
Remember how I brought up how the difference between Israelites' purification process and these heathens' purification process. We are different people. We don't do the same things that they do. Our culture is different. How we what we call considered clean and unclean is different than what they consider clean and unclean. And one thing that we not don't do is bow to no heathen. That's not our culture to do. And now there's a stir amongst the kingdom that there's a whole group of people like Mordecai that believe all the same thing, that they don't gotta bow. They're not gonna bow to us, that we heathens, that we not worthy of their worship. Keep going.
Come. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them. Verse 9.
He said it ain't really no reason for us to even keep them people alive. Keep going.
Verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed.
They may be what?
Destroyed.
The goal is to kill all the Israelites, to get rid of them, because they're not gonna bow. They're not gonna serve. They ain't gonna just shut up and be good slaves. So why not just get rid of them? That's less mouths to feed. That's people that have to defend if something goes south. You know, that's their logic. That's how they look at it. You don't want to bow them, we're gonna get rid of you. The same thing with white supremacy would do. If a draft comes, you don't want to serve in this army, we're gonna put you in prison. Right. That's what happened to what's his name?
Muhammad Ali.
You read my mind. That's what happened to Muhammad Ali. He said he wasn't finna go serve in this white man's military. Don't give a damn about his people. And what they do, they threatened to put him in prison. And he just sat there. And eventually they had to let him out. But he just sat there first. He didn't care. He wasn't gonna change his mind and go serve because y'all blocked me up. I'm not doing it. And that's how you gotta be. That's how all of Israel. That's how Mordecai is. I'm not finna bow to you, you filthy heathen. It's a lot. Go ahead.
Come. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business, to bring it into the king's treasuries. Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. Verse 11. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee.
So he's giving this man all kind of power, all kind of wealth, everything. He was already the number two in the nation, in the whole empire. But now he's not only the number two, he got full blown out the horse's mouth authority over the people now. Keep going.
Come. Verse 12. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month. And there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people, of every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written, and sealed with the king's ring.
So he made decrees now, using his power, that X, Y, and Z is about to happen. And he used the king's ring as the seal to say this ain't just my word. The man Haman telling you this. This is by the king's authority given to me. I'm telling you, this is what we're about to do going forward. This is how it's about to be going forward. Keep going.
Okay. Verse 13. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old.
Young and old.
Little children and women.
They don't care about nobody. They don't care if you weak, strong, a man, a woman, a boy, a girl. They don't care. All Jews have to perish. That's the same as our white oppression today. All they doing is just mimicking the great captivities that we've been in before now. They're doing the exact same thing. The methods might be different, but the goal is still the same. How they treat us is still the same. It's all the same. Keep going.
In one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. Verse 14. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day.
So when that day comes, it's time for y'all to go on the hunt for these Jews. Keep going.
Verse 15. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan, the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed.
Right. So what is? Give me the definition of the word perplexed. It says the city Shushan was perplexed. Right. What does it mean to be perplexed? The whole city is perplexed. And that's all the people that's in the city. The king, the decree from the king's decree that Haman put out made its way throughout all the provinces, to all the governors, to all the rulers of all the lands they own. So like, I got the definition. To all the rulers of the lands they own, and it made its way back to the king and to Haman. Okay, keep reading. Go ahead, give me a definition.
Definition of perplexed: completely baffled, very puzzled.
That's it. So the whole city is confused. Why is this decree going out? What's going on? Who did this come from? Right now, again, remember the king gave Haman all power and authority, and he gave him his ring, allowing him to literally make decrees in the king's name. Right? Keep reading.
The book of Esther, chapter 4 and verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city, and cried with a loud and a bitter cry.
Right. So it hurt Mordecai to know that he caused all of this. All this simply because of the fact that he wouldn't bow to a heathen. Now all of his people are about to be potentially put to death. According to the king's decree, they finna all be put to death. All of Israel finna be destroyed because of his choice. Because he chose not to disobey the Most High and bow to a damn heathen. Keep reading.
Verse 2. And came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. Verse 3. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes.
Right. So because of all this that's going on, this new decree, all the Jews are in mourning right now because they fear for what's about to happen. They know what's coming. Right. Keep going.
Verse 4. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him. But he received it not.
Even in her power of authority, this no longer concerns her. This ain't her problem. She's the queen. She ain't gotta say, I'm an Israelite, I'm a Jew, and deal with none of this. They ain't gonna look to her to kill her. They're gonna look to kill everybody else. But that's the problem. That's why she's upset. That's why she's in mourning, because it ain't just about her. It's about her people. And that's how we have as a people have to be. That's what it means to be in this truth. If you're an officer, if you're a trooper or an officer trying to be an officer in here, your responsibility is to your people. When you get that oil poured on your head, that's what that oath is. It ain't about me and my situation and what I got it going on, how this affect me. It's about my people. It's about that brother that's down the street strung on dope. How can I help him? How can I help make that brother's life a little bit easier? Maybe one day I can send him some kindness. Enough kindness is going to be enough to draw him over here, and then we can really start working on him, really get him off the dope. Or that sister that's strung out on us out there on the pole. Get her off the pole. Get her off the street. She's promiscuous. Out here, open her legs for everybody. We can get her to close her legs. But it all starts somewhere with you having compassion for your people. Without compassion for your people, it ain't going to work. You're just a person speaking words the same as the Christian church. You got to have compassion for your people. And that's what this is about. All of this right here. Keep going.
Okay. Verse 5. Then called Esther for her top, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 6. So Atak went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. Verse 7. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and unto the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them.
So he made it clear so she understood that Haman is going to kill all of us for a fee. Or he going to have us all killed for a fee. He put a hit on all of us. So now there's a desire to do it, not just because it'll take the king told us to do it, but we're going to get paid if we kill a bunch of y'all. However many we kill y'all, we'll get paid for it. So now there's a real desire, a real thirst to kill all Israelites, all Jews. Keep going.
Come on. Verse 8. Also he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given to Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king, to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people.
Right, so he sent Salakia. Mordecai sent the messenger a message to give to Esther, telling her that she needs to do something about this, to convince the king not to let this happen, because this ain't even the king's decree to begin with, right? This is Haman's decree. Haman's a hater, right? But she got power over the king. She's been exercising and working on it this whole time, building up to this point. Now's the time to use that power, that influence over the king to convince him to not let her people be killed. Keep going.
Okay. Verse 9. And her top came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Verse 10. Again, Esther spake unto her top and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. Verse 11. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner court, who is not called, there is one law of his, to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live.
Right, so there's a law. Whoever come into the king's court is going to be put to death, except for the person who the king pardons, basically. Keep going.
Come on. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days.
Right.
Verse 12. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
Right. So he felt like in him saying that, he felt like maybe she really was going to try to save herself. That's why she wasn't trying to go for the sake of her own life. And he reminded her that it ain't about your life. So even in this dire situation, it's about the people. You could die for talking to me. I could die for even being out in front of the gate like this with this potato sack on. You could die for talking to me. And if they found out you were a Jew, you still could die. So what? We got to have real responsibility to our people. Now you're in a position of power. All that luxury, it comes with a cost. Potentially, you got to be the first person to lay down your life if it could mean saving all the rest of our lives. Or at the end, you might not lose your life, and we still get to live. So it's a lose-lose regardless. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
Come. Verse 14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall there enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
Right.
Verse 15. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Verse 16. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me.
She said, do what?
and fast ye for me,
She asked that they fast for her. Keep reading.
and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish.
She said, if I perish, what?
I perish.
So be it. So what? That's what it means. When you care about your people, when you put your people's needs first over your own wants and desires, when you go stand in that corner, if you die, you die. That's what you signed up to do. To be a light for your people, to help your people, to be a leader and guide for your people. That's what she signed up for when she decided she was going to take that position in that house.
Right.
If she died, she died. That's what it is. That's what it means to do this work. Go ahead, sir.
It's a very important precept, and we go with that so people can understand why that brother is probably questioning himself at first, because he was seeing his fellow Jews about to be killed.
Okay.
And what also the sister understood in her role to play in this. If y'all could go to Romans 11:3 real quick, that would show you the reason why 3 and 4. It's a precept to where we cannot bow down to heathens. I don't care if you are scared. If you're a true Jew, a true Israelite never bows down to a heathen.
Come on, I got it.
Good.
The book of Romans, chapter 11, verse 3. Lord, they have killed thy prophets and digged down thy altars, and I am left alone.
So now this was a brother, the same type situation where they had killed people in front of him and all around him, and now they after him. So he in this world, you have every reason to bow down to another nation, to a heathen.
Come.
But this is what was said after that.
Keep going.
Come. And they seek my life. Verse 4. But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men.
How many?
7,000 men.
How many?
7,000 men.
Keep reading.
Who have not bowed,
That
bowed,
gave in to the heathen,
bowed,
was in fear for their life.
bowed
Keep going.
the knee to the image of Baal.
That Baal is a very wicked god that those heathens wanted us to worship, and they did not.
Okay.
There were 7,000 of our people that refused to bow their knee to a heathen. So we never do that.
Okay.
So like,
All right, so I'll give him the shocking hand. An excellent precept. That's better to help y'all understand why it was so important that Mordecai didn't bow when everybody else bowed. Because he was a just man. As I said in the beginning, he was a righteous brother. Keep going.
Come on. The book of Esther, chapter 4 and verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him.
Right, so he went ahead and did what she said. Keep going.
Chapter 5 and verse 1. Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. And the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house.
Now the stage is being set for her to make her move. Keep going.
Come. Verse 2. And it was so, when the king saw Esther, the queen, standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight.
The moment he laid eyes on her, he was struck. That she got him. Keep going.
Come. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand.
Mm-hmm. So she ain't have to worry about being put to death, because again, if he ain't appoint you to be here, you ain't supposed to be here in the court. Unless he hold his scepter out to you, you're going to be put to death. He put a scepter out to her, so she was cool. She was in the clear. Now it's time to start the mission. Keep going.
Come. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 3. Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther?
Mm-hmm.
And what is thy request? It shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom.
He said, I give you half of everything that's mine. What you want? Go ahead.
Come. Verse 4. And Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet that I have prepared for him.
She said, "Come on, eat this dinner. You and Haman both. Let me talk to y'all." Keep going.
Verse 5. Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther has
He
said.
said, "What? What'd he say?"
Cause Haman to make haste.
He said, "Haman, come on. We gotta go." She said, "We gotta sit down at this dinner. She want to talk to us. Hey, come on, man. Let's have this conversation real quick. Keep going."
That he may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared.
First of all, that's how she knew. That's at that point she should have known. Yeah, I got him now. When he said, "Haman, make haste," it wasn't just, "All right, we'll see you at the dinner." Haman, we gotta go now. You know what I'm saying? It was immediate. Her power with him was so strong. Everything else got thrown to the side. It's the king. He got all kind of responsibility and stuff to do, but all that got put on hold so he can immediately go spend time with her just to be in her presence. That's power. Keep going. And that's power gained and shown through humility. She ain't show herself to be no haughty woman, no loud clicking and clacking, smart in the mouth, nothing. She was a humble sister, and she ain't asked for nothing extra. She was kind. Her spirit is what drew everybody to her to begin with, and she just used that what was raised in her to sap the king. It's a lot. Keep going.
So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. Verse 6. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition?
Mm-hmm.
And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed.
He's really willing to risk it all for this woman. Whatever you want. He ain't even tell her. He don't even care to hear what it is that she wants. He said, just whatever it is, tell me what you want so I can give it to you. Whatever it is, you can have it. Keep going.
Verse 7. Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, verse 8, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said.
Right, keep going.
Verse 9. Then went Haman forth that day, joyful and with a glad heart. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up, nor moved him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai.
Here we go again. This same mother person that ain't bow the knee to me. This same person who don't respect my authority. Everybody in the whole earth do, but you. You're the only person that got a defiant spirit against me. You're the only person that resisted me. And now here you are on this glorious day. I done got invited to sit and have dinner with the king and queen. And here you go, just standing there looking at me, not saying nothing. Didn't move when I walked in, nothing. Just looking at me, just defiant as can be. Keep going.
Verse 10. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself. And when he had came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife. Verse 11. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches and the multitude of his children.
So now he bragging and boasting about all the things he didn't gain since he done been made the king's right-hand man. Keep going.
And all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he advanced him above the princes and the servants of the king.
So not only am I above the servants of the king, I'm above the princes. His sons don't even got more rank than me. I'm him. Haman was him. Keep going.
Verse 12. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared but myself. And tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king.
He said, see, and I get to go to the dinner with the king and the queen. Who else doing that? He's stunting on everybody. That's literally all he called his friends over there to do, was just to stunt on them, to brag and boast. Keep going.
Verse 13. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate.
He bragging and boasting about all this that he done earned and got since he got this position of power. But the only thing that he can't have. He want Mordecai gone, because Mordecai won't bow to him. Mordecai won't follow his will. He won't bend the knee. And now he got to sit here and deal with him in front of the king's gate. There ain't nothing he can say or do about it. Keep going.
Verse 14. Then was Zeresh his wife and all of his friends unto him. Then said Zeresh his wife and all of his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of the 50 cubits high.
Mm-hmm. What's a gallows? Y'all know what a gallows is? Look it up. Go ahead, sis.
It's like a stage. It's kind of like a stage. They put hanging things up there, and then the bottom falls out of it, and then it hangs you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
John, that's what a gallows is. It's a death trap, and the goal of the death trap obviously is to kill Mordecai, right? So now we get into the description of how he's imagined how he wants this death trap to be built. Right, start that verse over.
Come on. Verse 14. Then says Zeresh his wife, and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high. And tomorrow speak thou unto the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon.
If I could, let's do some math. Y'all know how big a cubit is?
About 20 feet.
No, that's a
15.
A cubit is 18 inches, right?
Oh,
it said 50 cubits high, so that's 18. That's a foot and a half times 50. That's 300 feet. That's big. That's a huge stage. All to hang one brother, one Jew, one defiant Israelite that wouldn't bow the knee. You know, waste all these resources and this money to kill this one brother. He could have easily just sent somebody to go kill him. One of the king's men be like, look, I don't like the nigga, go kill him. That simple. And he'd been dead. But he a fool. His pride, he needs people to see the power of Haman. That I set this up. I built this stage so I could kill this nigga, and y'all gonna watch it happen. His foolish pride is what's gonna cost him everything. But unfortunately, y'all won't get to hear about that until tomorrow.
Okay.
Keep going.
Come on.
I told y'all this should be made a movie. The Book of Esther should be made into a movie. It would be a dope movie. Keep going.
Then go thou in merrily with the king unto the banquet.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made.
So he wasted all these resources and everything to build these gallows for what? Because he a hater. To kill a brother who wouldn't bend the knee. That if that ain't a hater, I don't know what a hater is. You got all this power. I don't matter. I'm in a potato sack at the king's gate. And you want me dead that bad that you're going to waste the king's resources to kill a nigga in a potato sack at the king's gate? I'm not even inside the court. I'm outside. And you want me dead that badly. You could just send somebody to off me. You could have just cut off my food supply. You got all this power. Such a mighty man, Haman. And you're going to bring your fist down like this. You see what I'm saying? That's a sign of a hater. And Haman is the next to Judas. Haman might be the ultimate hater in the Bible, bro. So, he might be the ultimate hater. So that's all we're gonna do today. We're gonna finish the other half at the closing tomorrow night. Does anybody have any questions before I close it out? Or anybody got anything you want to say? Otherwise, you want to say something?
And with that,
it's the ISUPK Star out of 1 West 125th Street, Hall, New York. This has been the opening of the Feast of Purim. Get a Lord a hand for that. Tomorrow night, we'll be doing the closing of the Feast of Purim around the same time. We're going to finish reading the rest of the story of Esther from chapter 5. From chapter 6 on to chapter 10. Y'all going to see the comeuppance of hubris, of Haman's foolish pride, right? With that, shalom.